All right, guys, welcome back. Welcome back. It's me, Daniel, with VintageMagic.com. All right, so this video is, I would call it part of my response video series. I haven't done one for a while, but the professor from Tolarian Community College, the link will be below, he posted a video about the reserve list and why it is a lie. And I actually found it very, very interesting to watch, and it's worthy of a discussion because it has a lot to do with this channel and also the things I sell and everything. I also will invite you to look at the reserve list conversation that I have with Steve Menendian and Brian Weissman at NOOBCON 11. We were in Europe. We were basically on the train, the Swiss Alps and stuff like that, and we had a really good discussion about the reserve list and kind of where it was, why it should be abolished, and that's Steve Menendian's argument, and Brian Weissman supported the reserve list. So it was probably one of the more popular video series ones. I invite you to watch that. It's pretty raw footage. However, it has a really good breakdown also. So first off, the video that Prof made was, I thought, his point was very strong and also obviously leans towards reprinting the reserve list. I like one of the big points he comes away with is that he wants to bring back the dual lands as the main starter of all this. He justified this because there was actually a key point where he said cards like Birds of Paradise, Shivan Dragon, Sarah Angel, stuff like that. If you compare the collector items like an Alpha, Beta, even Unlimited, the old school frame cards, the cards themselves for those printings of the Shivan Dragon, for example, hasn't changed at all. It's actually gone up. So if you reprint the cards, they actually haven't done anything. I think there was a point when Shivan Dragon was given away for free in a deck. So it proved his point that, well, basically, if you don't, if you just reprint it, it doesn't do anything anyway. I found that to be quite interesting. So, well, a lot of you are just going to wonder, well, Dan, what's your take on it? Obviously, well, as a dealer and such, an investor of Magic stuff, I can see both sides. But I think I think my position is this, that, and I don't disagree that it is a promise, and like a lot of people, the Prof kind of doesn't look at it as a promise, it's because they've manipulated the reserve list for years, right? They put from the vault Mox Diamond and Karn, and they put Phyrexian Negator and certain card like a Wheel of Fortune Judge promo. So they've done things to change it up. They used to have premium products were allowed on the reserve list. They've also changed what could be on the reserve list, certain cards, and that video that Prof had was really good. But I disagree with the fact that it is still a legal promise in the sense that promissory estoppel that he mentions, it is a legal promise that you have said, I'm not going to reprint these cards because we're not going to, it will cause potential financial repercussions for the people that put money into it. But do I really think that it would? And that's really where I lean towards, I don't think it would. I agree with the Prof, actually, and I actually agree with Steven the more I think about it, the examples he made, because ultimately, there was a situation where, for example, Vintage Masters on Magic Online, you didn't have to have the cards, and you just had to pay the entry for a special Gen Con type of tournament online, because you can't play right now. And the tournament growth was very high, and it shows, hey, people can come in and try an older format without having to be just stretched, just huge amounts of money. So I think though that fact that that occurred and there was growth gives me a lot of like positivity to the direction that, you know, people, there's going to be the main argument for Menendian also is that if you have the reserve list reprint cards, it's gone, you essentially will allow more players to come and play the games. Thus, the collector cards, which is really the Alpha, Beta, Unlimited, Revised, those cards are the OG, never reprint those artworks, right? But go to the new artworks, and it produces a incredible amount of boom, effectively, where people are going to still gravitate towards their cards, the older cards, especially like in Commander, in Cube, stuff like that. It makes it super popular. So yeah, I mean, I thought about this a lot because my original discussion with Brian and Steve, I kind of felt like it would cause a mass, you know, I was leaning towards what Brian was thinking. I thought it could lead toward or more like Brian's argument is that there is this like patina, is that the word? Yeah, I think he used, where basically there is something special about the reserve list. It is unique. It was a moment in time, a mistake in a way, like, you know, or something that, you know, Black Lotus was special because it can't be reprinted ever, right? Dual lands are special because of the way they are. And that made them what they are. And playing with them in any other type of border or whatever, foil shenanigans or whatever, you know, special double foils, or it just doesn't make any sense. And it doesn't, it loses its luster. Thus you lose the patina, the kind of this part of Magic, history. You lose the history part of it, which is really a critical part that I have to agree with. That was the part I really agree with. Was if you lose history and you start doing things that revert history, you start eliminating a lot of the luster of what Magic was and is to a lot of people. And that's beyond just a promise. It's just that's what made it exciting. Like when Open Boosters, for example, opens those alpha or beta packs and unlimited, and the new guy, the Andy from Power 9 Quest, does the same thing, or other people are cracking sealed product to basically, you know, like do pack breaks, right, and stuff like that. So it loses that luster because if you just put another special thing, right, it doesn't really matter. Another example I want to pinpoint out is that I also will support the Prof's argument is that it will not affect the reserve lists because I feel like, you notice like sports cards, there's a lot of like one-on-one premium printings, like, or premium product printings where they're less packs, very rare, but more expensive. So these have jerseys and redemption cards, possibly whatever they want to do, fancy one-of-ones, rookie cards, whatever, double patches, NBA logo man, whatever you want, right? And so if you do that in the reserve list cards, those will be extremely special and they're going to be wanted. In fact, the value of those ones, the premium, ultra premium, he even alluded, the Prof alluded, potential ultra, like not just mythic rare, but ultra mythic rare. I found it quite interesting. It actually would, these premium products would make it even more exciting for players and collectors to pull on their packs and thus have a new collector fandom effectively. And this is not, you know, obviously the main argument is that players can now obviously play more and then buy more and also pimp out their decks and get interested in the format, grow the Magic community. That's the main argument. But I really believe that, I strongly believe that by eliminating reserve lists, let's say we, you know, kind of end the video, let's say we just, of the world of the reserve list, it was abolished tomorrow. Or they adjusted it so dual lands or certain cards that were playable cards that made a lot of sense to just have, just made a lot of sense. You know what I mean? I'm not talking like cards like Falling Star or Chaos Orb, possibly, you know. I'm talking about cards that are, just like dual lands and playables, right? Like Power Artifact. But I think they eliminated Basalt Monolith from that that whole list before, and then remember, as you know, the Basalt Monolith with a Power Artifact is like infinite mana combo, and thus if you eliminate Power Artifact on the reserve list, you allow open up a way to actually open up the game in a different way, a different strategy, and make unique decks and things about that. So I have to say that's pretty awesome, because then the original Power Artifact would actually become, I don't know, more special to certain people. I get what Brian's saying. There's a certain history, right? And I get that would probably reserve towards the older iconic ones that really changed the game for what it is. The Power 9, obviously on that list. Certain powerful lands like the Mishra's Workshop, the Library of Alexandria, the Bazaar at Baghdad. These are ones that I can see, they're pretty iconic. But even then, Bazaar at Baghdad, if you reprinted it, there was a Vintage Masters version of it, that painting I actually own by Chris Muller. It is a beautiful painting, and it would be a beautiful card as a printed card. So people in Vintage can play, Dredge, a really big type of archetype in Vintage. And that Bazaar at Baghdad costs you $1,000 to $2,000 without looking. You have to have 4 of them. 4, right? So if you change that, it will open up Dredge players to be able to play that format more. I gotta say, I really like that, I think that if you abolished it the next day, just certain ones, I wouldn't see a decline I actually believe this. I actually believe that, I think the decline will happen this way. This is the way I look at it, is that what happens is if you own the Bazaar at Baghdad, so the original Arabian Nights ones, if you have to sell them, you'll probably sell them and get some money. And then some people will say, well, I'm going to sell my Arabian Nights, cash in, but I just want to play the game. And I just want to play with the new version of the Bazaar at Baghdad and play, my Dredge deck. However, I don't think that people who own the Arabian Nights cards are going to sell out at all quickly. Some might, and you might see that, and then buy lists might change and all that. There might be a spike in supply a little bit on eBay and whatnot, sure, but at the same time, the newer version will be a lower price because it's more affordable, but the older version becomes extremely collectible, thus opening up a big investor storm of actually investing in that specific collectibles that now players will really desire more for the older copy, which makes it more special. And that's where I think it would head if we open up the reserve list today. And I agree with that with dual lands. I think dual lands, alpha, beta, and all that would just actually rise eventually after you see, because there's people that just really love their black border, alpha, beta, unlimited dual lands. And old school players, they're not going to be accepting the new borders anyway, so that eliminates that opportunity. But new players can use it for their commander, and it would make a lot of positivity to the game. All right, so I said a lot of stuff. I'd like you guys watch the video for the prof, and also hopefully the Stephen Menendian and Brian Weissman conversation. But what do you think? Do you think I'm correct? Do you think I'm wrong? Justify it in the comments below. I really appreciate you guys. It's kind of crazy, but I hope you guys enjoy the video. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you everyone for supporting our channel. It means a lot to me that you're enjoying the content we're putting out there. I have a Patreon page that supporters have access to special perks and rewards. Become a supporter at patreon.com/vintagemagic. As a patron, you receive exciting pricing on sealed product, flash sales, annual gifts, and personalized consulting services from me. Again, thank you for subscribing to our videos and supporting the channel. I love meeting players, collectors, and investors all over the world. If you see me at a Grand Prix, please come by and say hi. I would love to meet you. Thank you everyone for your support and friendship.
Vintage Magic. Game, collect, invest. For more information about our consulting and professional services, visit vintagemagic.com.